We now return to Thunderbirds here on A&E.
In our organization, we work anywhere between 12, 16 hours a day. We work until the job is done. So there's really no such thing as overtime.
In the heat of the desert sun, the temperature inside the Thunderbird hangar often climbs to over 100 degrees. But the work goes on. This aircraft is scheduled to fly to Tucson in less than 12 hours. And if it means working all night, it will leave on time. A sophisticated fighter like the F-16 is actually a marriage of computers, pneumatics, hydraulics, electronics, fuel systems, miles of wire, and one very powerful engine. All the parts must function in perfect harmony. After every 150 hours of flight, the plane must undergo a phase inspection. The entire plane is literally disassembled. Although each member of the Thunderbird maintenance crew has a specific responsibility, everyone chips in to expedite the phase inspection. It's not unusual to see an engine specialist assisting with the installation of a flight control computer, or a radar technician helping to change a hydraulic actuator. If there was ever a serious national emergency, within 48 hours, this crew would have the demonstration aircraft restored to combat-ready status. Military gray would replace the fancy red, white, and blue paint scheme. When these technicians complete their 2-year tour of duty with the team, they'll share their experiences as Thunderbirds with Air Force squadrons stationed all over the world. The Thunderbird crew has the right to be proud of its work. Since the team was formed over 3 decades ago, there has never been a performance canceled or curtailed for maintenance reasons.
Well, when I was little, believe it or not, I was afraid of flying. I used to go flying with one of my dad's friends, and I used to hold on for dear life.
Captain Bert Nelson, the team's narrator, also flies media flights in the 2-seat B-model F-16. Like the other pilots, Bert spends some of his time corresponding with young people who write to the Thunderbird squadron.
Well, I think the kids look up to us because what we do is exciting. We interact with them a lot on the road. We get to go see them sometimes in kids' hospitals. We get to talk to them. We obviously get a lot of them in the crowd line. And we get letters from them here in the squadron, some of them just asking about what the flying's like or what we do here. Some people asking for pictures. They're pretty important to all of us, really. They're the future for the Air Force and for the country. And when we interact with them, obviously we're trying to set a good example for them, maybe as a role model for them to look up to someday. We can affect their lives in a lot of ways by setting this good example and telling them a little bit about our job.
How do you put these straps on?
Okay, when we go out to fly, we have a harness that we wear, and it's got a couple clips on the top of it. There's one on each side that goes over our shoulders, and that's what hooks us into the ejection seat.
That's
That? It's like a little TV screen, but it's our radar. Talking about want to see the engine back there where all the thrust comes from. They ask what it's like to fly in the airplanes, sometimes what it's like to work around the Thunderbird squadron. Talking to them, we can tell them the ways we get here. It just doesn't happen overnight that you get here. But what we have to remember is you got to do the best you can at whatever you're doing, and eventually you keep working, and hopefully you'll achieve the goal that you've set for yourself.
In 1969, the Thunderbirds began flying the powerful F-4 Phantom. For a period of several years, the Navy's Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds flew the same type of aircraft. Retired General Thomas Swalm commanded the team from 1969 to 71.
The F-4, of course, was an anomaly at that time in aviation laurels. It was a very powerful airplane. It's the first time we came along with an airplane that could maneuver as well and do the things that we were able to put in an air show from a power perspective so much easier than we could in the past. Also, of course, it was the airplane that was probably getting as much attention as any in Vietnam. It was an airplane the Air Force relied on very heavily for both its air superiority mission and also its air-to-ground mission, delivering ordnance for our own U.S. Army. So a great airplane, and one that I think a lot of people wanted to see in the air show environment in those years, 1970, 71, 72, 72 and 73 as the Vietnam War was drawing down. And of course, the F-4 has to go down in history as being the aircraft that flew not only the best air show, but the loudest.
The F-4 also consumed a lot of fuel. And during the energy crisis of 1974, the Thunderbirds switched to the fuel-efficient T-38 trainer.
This was the first time that the Thunderbird team had gone from a frontline fighter, if you will, to a trainer-type aircraft. Also, every single Air Force pilot could relate to the T-38 because in those days, as we still do today, all Air Force pilots flew the T-38 as part of their basic pilot training. Some of the disadvantages of the airplane, it didn't have all the power that we would like for it to have in performing the aerial maneuvers that the demonstration required. It also did not have air refueling capability, so that meant when we went from Nellis Air Force Base, our home, to the East Coast, it required 3 hops, which made a very long day out of it just getting around. And it also limited us essentially to the continental U.S. The Thunderbird team has a tradition of excellence and trying very, very much to perfect everything they do. The feeling was that we knew we would never fly that perfect air show, but we always tried.
This is News Center 9 with Guy Atchley, Stephanie White, weather with Robin Zimmerman, and sports with Dave Silver.
What's it like to fly with the Thunderbirds? The Air Force flying team is in town for a couple of shows this weekend, and they picked a member of the media to experience the ultimate roller coaster ride. Our Margarita Zavala is the one they chose, and here is her story.
The Thunderbirds arrive in Tucson the day before the season's first scheduled air show. First on the agenda is a media flight with a local news anchorwoman. Before she takes off, Margarita Zavala must go through an hour of training and familiarization that would be critically important in the unlikely event of an in-flight emergency.
So now the next thing that's going to happen is she's going to be fitted by Sergeant Schenkelberg with the G-suit and helmet and the mask that she's going to wear. He's going to do a quick fitting to get it all rigged up for her.
So what this is going to do, it's going to press so hard against your lower extremities, there's like air bladders in there. And what it'll do is force that blood back up into your head.
Good.
And that'll keep it from passing out. Good.
So the blood wouldn't rush out of my head?
The Thunderbirds promote the Air Force. By doing media flights, the team and their upcoming air show receive coverage on local television newscasts.
Okay, Marty, first thing you like to sign some papers here just so you don't hold Lance blame here for anything. And actually, this is an enlistment form. We want to get you in the Air Force here. We're going to climb to about 17,000 feet. Feel your G-suit inflate around you, and you'll feel that feeling that you get when you... have you ever ridden the hammer at the carnival?
I try to stay away from
You try to stay away from those? Well, we're not going to be too tough on you, but we'll do this one.
In less than 20 minutes, anchorwoman Margarita Zavala is taxiing for takeoff, and the Air Force is on television.
Living Dangerously will continue here on A&E.